Hi everybody, Richard Trevins here again, Artificial Lawyer TV. Today we're doing a special video all about the Legal Innovators conference in California, which is in June 11th and 12th in San Francisco. Today we're doing a bit of a speaker highlight. We're talking to Adam from eBrevia. Hey Adam.
Hey, Richard. Good to see you.
And we've spoken a few times over the years, and as readers will know, eBrevia was one of the very first legal AI companies. It's had a few changes, and maybe we'll come back to that towards the end. Let's get into it. So, eBrevia does service the in-house community. I mean, just generally, what are you seeing? Are you seeing uptake of doc review tools, AI-driven doc review tools now in a way that perhaps wasn't in the past?
I think because of Gen AI, we're seeing definitely more interest. Companies taking a look at AI. They may not know that AI had existed before Gen AI. So the wave of Gen AI has created definitely, a surge in interest. And we're seeing companies either adopting or in the process of evaluating seriously evaluating it, not just poking around, but doing a deep dive.
And why is that? Why is generative AI making a difference? Because I mean, there's been a bunch of CLM companies, and there's also been contract review tools which did try to get into the in-house market. They made some impact, not a huge amount of impact on the AI doc review bit. Why is the generative AI development so different? Why is that making an
Yeah,
impact?
I think precisely for the reason you just stated, that
Mm,
because CLMs have been around for a long time, and as we know, CLMs have a very long cycle of adoption. There's a lot of pain points around adoption. It's very costly, time consuming.
mm.
So there's a lot of disappointment with traditional CLMs. And then with the advent of Gen AI in the last couple of years, that renewed interest in evaluating, what else is out there. Maybe there's something better. So I think precisely because CLM was so cumbersome to adopt, that it led to companies looking at Gen AI solutions. Another reason is just this herd mentality, right? Companies are seeing from top down, as opposed to bottom up. Top down CEOs and other C-level decision makers telling their teams to evaluate Gen AI. It's a company mandate. So we're seeing that trend happening as well. So like I said, you have the confluence of CLMs being a disappointment over the years. It's leading to companies looking at other solutions, and then second, from top down, management top down, asking employees to evaluate Gen AI solutions.
Gotcha. And would it be fair to say that generative AI solutions are to some degree easier to use in that they don't require, well, it depends how you go, but generally don't require so much training?
Yes, exactly. It doesn't require training, but the limitation that we're seeing with a lot of Gen AI solutions is that it's lacking in the workflow. And so, the companies, a lot of new entrants into the marketplace are realizing that it's not just about the AI, but they have to learn to adapt to the workflow of their corporate clients. And of course, it's based on different sectors, different industry. And so I think that's the hurdle that a lot of new entrants are seeing. And luckily, I have to say, we've been around, so that's a problem that we've solved for many of our clients. So, in some ways, it's good to be in the business for a while to understand the workflow and the domain that you're in order to tailor the AI to specific solutions.
Gotcha. Actually, and well, let's just drill down into that a bit. So, for people who don't know, I mean, when did eBrevia begin? When was the very, very first beginning of it all?
Yeah, eBrevia was founded in 2011. We were what's
2011.
called yes, the first wave of AI. We're one of the trailblazers, and since then we have been sold and reacquired. My co-founder Jake and I bought the company back about a year ago, and we've incorporated Gen AI into traditional AI. And so that's why I think we're in a unique space in eBrevia in that we have the established experience of working with companies under this and understanding their workflow, and then bringing in AI. I think it's naive to think that you can just turn on a switch for AI and not take into account workflow and user interface and the specific needs of, just like I said, different industries, different types of companies. We have law firm clients, we have corporate clients, and then we have also international clients, right? Like different jurisdictions require different needs. So, that I find is actually more challenging to solve than the AI itself. And so, this is the advice I would give younger companies coming into the marketplace that, expect to spend a lot of time figuring out the workflow.
Mm. And I mean, and when we, on that point, does that mean that, you have to spend more time with the clients to help them understand, how to integrate it into the workflow? And is there sort of more tooling in the application layer? I mean, do you have to get into more refinement, helping them to connect up to, their own precedents and so forth, and templates and so forth? So, I mean, it does actually getting value, particularly on the in-house side, require a deeper engagement than like, hey, here's an API, off you go.
Right. So it's not just having an open API, right? So you have to work with the corporate to understand what the existing tech stack is, what tools they're already using. Of course, I think for the naive buyer, and some of them, are new to the space, and the temptation is just to go for a one solution, a one size fits all solution. And that doesn't exist, right? The reality is that there are legacy systems platforms, they may be AI, not AI. And so how do you link that to a new system? And how do you make that as frictionless as possible? And there's going to be friction, right? But you have to work with the client on the integration. For example, we have eBrevia Connect, which is a platform that we have to connect eBrevia with various systems, making it, for example, Relativity or Salesforce or iManage is a popular one. But even with eBrevia Connect ready to go, there's still the design of the integration, working with the client to see, what customization is needed for their integration. So yes, on one level, we are, a ready to use solution, but on another level, especially with large corporates, there's going to be some level of customization. And I must add that, like, especially with large corporates, you have to divide the work into different departments, different functions. For example, legal is different from procurement, different from compliance. So I think, it's naive to go into a large client like Boeing, for example, and think that, okay, we're going to just turn on the solution for everything. It's not. It's going to take a lot of steps, depending on the individual departments of each you're working with.
Yeah, no, good point. And absolutely. I mean, that's always been one of the tensions of legal tech in that people want to sell software because software is scalable, but the legal world
Mhm.
doesn't work quite as simply as that. It's not like just downloading a calendar.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of customization and so forth, as you were saying. Do you find that the in-house teams now have more of a budget for legal tech of any kind, or is it more that they don't necessarily get more of a budget, but if they put a demand into central IT, if they have such a thing, that they'll get
No,
a
they don't have a. Yeah, no, they don't have a larger budget at all. If anything, there's a shifting of budgets, right? So one group may get less money than another group. So I think companies are shifting money around, and the desire, I think, behind the scenes, from what I'm hearing, it's not publicly stated, but the desire is not just to make work more efficient; it's to reduce headcount. And I think that's something that's not popular to say. People don't want to hear it, but I hear it behind the scenes. Once push comes to shove, it's about reducing headcount.
And
And so
have you
you're
seen, obviously without mentioning any names, but have you seen any examples of that yet?
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing it in different ways. We're seeing, uh, reduction in, say, headcount and having, say, lawyers apply for jobs elsewhere, or, say, in legal ops, instead of having three legal ops person, now we're down to two legal ops person.
Oh, really? So they're
We're also,
cutting. So just asking, that's a very big point. Just
yeah,
before,
yes,
so
yeah.
the conference. So they're cutting legal ops jobs.
Yes, they're cutting, or they're asking people to move into different functions, different roles, and reducing the budget, right? Because the goal of legal ops to make things more efficient. And I hate to say it as well, I've seen cases where legal ops professionals did their job so well that they eliminated themselves out of a job, right?
Mm.
And so that's happened as well. And then the other trend is to get to bring on ALSPs to do the work. That normally would be sent to law firms or done in-house. Now ALSPs can do it, because then you don't have to have people on payroll. Payroll is very expensive, especially as you know, with
Well,
employer
and also, I
taxes,
mean, look,
benefits, and all those things. Yeah.
look at the UK. I mean, I don't know if you've studied what the tax change is, but the new government has
Mhm.
increased taxes on employers. It's also changed the employment rules.
Right.
So, yeah, you could imagine a company saying, "Well, yeah, wherever we can trim, we'll trim."
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting as well, when it comes to technology adoption, and this is not good for us, right? We see corporate legal departments, instead of licensing the software, they may have the ALSP license the software and then push the costs of the software and the service to the ALSP entirely. So now the company is not licensing the software. So we do get paid, like eBrevia will get the revenue from somewhere, but instead of getting it from the corporate clients, now we're getting it from ALSPs. And that's why, we have a number of very strong ALSPs who, have a relationship with us and who deploy our software. But that's another trend that I'm seeing. Just again, the theme is companies are cutting costs, right? Whichever way they can, whether it's headcount reduction or pushing work out to ALSPs.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it's funny because I mean, I've been banging on that drum for years and years about why don't the corporate clients use ALSPs who are using AI? Because you know ALSPs are custom made to do this. That's what they were built for, and it never really caught on. I mean, there were some people played around the edges, but it was mostly on the e-discovery side. Let's face it, right? But again, with generative AI, it does seem that things are changing a little bit.
Yeah. And because Gen AI is progressing so quickly,
Mm.
there's new technology coming out of it. So a lot of companies are facing the issue with evaluation. They just simply don't have the resources to pilot and test the software. So to de-risk the decision-making process, because they don't want to commit to
Mm.
something that is an unknown quantity, right? It's maybe, it's a new product. It may be splashy and sounds great, but how do you really trust it? So they de-risk by relying on ALSPs to use the AI, or going with a solution like ours. I think that's one of the benefits of eBrevia having been around for a long time, is that there's reliability, right, and stability, which corporates look for. Yeah, I think new companies, new startups underestimate the strength of or the benefits of having been around for a long time, the benefits of longevity. Because at the end of the day, that's one of the criteria that corporates look for. And when they do, I just got off a call earlier for financial and other due diligence by a big company that's signing on, right? And we have to prove that we've been around for a long time, that we're not a fly by night company. So that's yeah. Again, I think the theme of this, what we're talking about here, there's a lot of non-AI factors that go into AI adoption. Right? So I think having that experience, having been around, that's what we recognize. AI may be just 30% of the equation. The rest of it is all these other non-AI issues that you have to consider and
Mm.
work with your corporate clients.
Absolutely. I mean, let's face it. I mean, an LLM and the associated tooling, application layer, etc. It's just a machine. It's a software machine. Right? It's a soft machine, but it's just a machine. And lots of people can buy machines. But
Yeah.
only certain companies become globally successful. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And on that point about risk, it's very interesting. I wrote an article this Monday. And I might actually put a link in the text around this when I publish it, about how risk is sort of externalizing risk is never going to go away. And that's one of the reasons why, no matter what happens with AI, no matter how advanced it gets, corporate entities will always try and externalize risk. They will use law firms, they will use LSPs or something else, but they will always try and get it outside because it's just human instinct. Interesting.
Mhm.
So this has been a
And
really
you're right, exactly
good.
right. That's why law firms are still, law firms are in business because of that, right?
Yeah, I
Because
mean they
it's
have
cheaper to do things in
expertise and
house, but
they
because of the risk, yeah,
yeah. No,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, don't want to do law
yeah,
firms down. I mean, there's some brilliant, well, there are many brilliant people in the law firms who are super niche experts, and the world can operate without them. They have the numbers, they have the structure, all of those things. But the risk part, I think, is often overlooked. People kind of forget that one of the core reasons
absolutely,
for sending work outside is not just so that the in-house teams can save money on their own headcount, because the external law firms cost a lot of money, right? they're paying for something. They're not just paying for expertise. But anyway, going off subject, bringing it back because we're running out of time. If I remember rightly, Adam, you were actually at last year's Legal Innovators California conference, were you not?
was.
So,
I was on a panel then too.
fantastic. In which case, I can ask you this question. This year, 2025, June 11th and 12th in San Francisco, what are you looking forward to in relation to Legal Innovators California?
I'm looking to hear, how adoption has picked up or not picked up. And some of the companies that I spoke with last year, and Apple, Meta, Salesforce, etc. Some of them are clients. I went to see how much more adoption, or whether they're taking a pause, especially given macroeconomic conditions, right? Or because of macroeconomic conditions and downsizing, they're looking to do more with
Mhm.
efficiency. And like I said, yeah, we talked about the desire for headcount reduction. So I'm looking basically for trends, right, and how Gen AI and adoption fits into with the macro economy.
Fantastic. Well, we'll certainly be having some
Yeah.
discussion about that. And yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, Legal Innovators is based primarily on the idea of exploring that cutting edge, that intersection of legal tech and the business of law. So key trends will be absolutely something we'll be exploring. But we've got to leave it there. And in fact, if you want to hear more of Adam's wise words between now and June, well, you'll just have to come to Legal Innovators California. And we hope to see you there. And there are tickets for sale still. But just want to say thank you very much to Adam. Thank you. And
Thank you,
thank
Richard.
you for watching, everybody. And hope to see at least some of you in California. Thank you. Bye bye.